About a month ago, I got this request to make some more Genshin Impact crafts. I'm Erin from Nubby Notes, and today we'll be making a Hu Tao ghost keychain. To start, I sketched up and cut out a ghost template which included the body and the arms on a sheet of white paper. Then, with some white felt, I traced out doubles of each of the template pieces. And then I took my nice scissors and cut them out. I used these same steps to cut out the face details and the little hat. Now this is just an extra step that you could take if you love unnecessary details like me. I took a black ribbon and some thread and decided to sew it onto the hat. I like how this detail breaks up the hat and makes it look less like a solid black block. Now this video is one of 2 Genshin crafting videos that I have on my channel so far. So if you're interested in watching the first video, be sure to check out the link in the description and up in the cards. And off camera, I followed these same steps on the back side of the hat. Now for even more details, off camera I cut out a red flower and used some yellow thread to add some details to the flower. With the thread, I used a backstitch to outline each petal. Here's how the flower looked after I used a backstitch on each petal. Next, I passed the needle through to the front part of the flower and wrapped my needle twice to create a French knot for the final detail. To make sure everything didn't fall apart, I passed the needle through and made a knot at the very end before cutting off any of the excess strands. I've always liked the look of embroidery details, so I was pretty pleased with how this turned out in the end. For another unnecessary hat detail, I really wanted to add a tassel to Hu Tao Ghost's hat. But who would have thought that making a mini tassel is not the easiest thing? So bear with me as I try to explain what I ended up doing. Essentially, I took 2 of my clay tools and wrapped my purple thread around it multiple times. Then I took a purple strand and tied it between the 2 clay tools. I then used my scissors to cut through the loops of the bottom part of the tassel. So don't do this. I forgot to take another thread and loop it through the top loops of the tassel before taking out that clay tool. So here I'm making up for it with my needle, and then I'm cutting off the excess threads. And look at how cute the little baby tassel is. Okay, and now with all the details finished, we can sew them onto the hat. You might have noticed that I left the yellow thread on with the flower, and that was just so that I could attach it to the hat later. If you're liking the video so far, let me know down in the comments below, or by giving the like button a little boop. After knotting and cutting off the excess thread, this is what the flower looked like on the hat. Before attaching the tassel, I double knotted the top thread. Then I threaded my tassel to the curved needle and then attached it to the hat. I then played around with the tassel positioning until I had it where I liked. And before double knotting the ends, I took one of the threads and passed it through the hat. I then snipped off the excess, and then the hat was complete. And for the hat insignia, I sketched it on a piece of chipboard before cutting it out. To make sure that the front and back pieces of the keychain were aligned, I took the ghost body piece and the hat piece and aligned it before marking it with my pencil. The lines served as a guide for sewing each hat piece to the body pieces. Once the piece was sewn onto the body, I knotted the end and then snipped off the excess. After following these same steps, we were able to work on the little ghost nubs. And after sandwiching together the two nubs, I took my white thread and sewed the two pieces together. I then knotted the end before passing it through the nub and then snipping off the excess thread. After following these same steps for the second nub, I took some polyfill and stuffed them with my clay tool to make them look extra chunky. With the nubs out of the way, we can finally sew together all the pieces. And with the same white thread as earlier, I sewed along the edge of the front and back parts of the keychain. Before sewing on the arm nubs, I positioned it to a place that I had liked. If you want to know what type of stitch I'm using along the edges, it's called a whip stitch. And if I'm being honest, it's the first time I've done a whip stitch before. So check out the description box for a whip stitch tutorial, because I am still learning how to do it. And after all the white edges were sewn, I knotted the ends and then moved to the hat part. I then used some polyfill to stuff the body, while also using my clay tool to get into all of the nooks and crannies. With some black thread, I used the whip stitch again to connect the edges of the hat. And when I got to the center of the hat, I could finally attach the keychain pieces. For the keychain, I used a white elastic and a lobster clasp. After wrapping the elastic around the lobster clasp, I positioned it in the middle of the hat and then continued to use the whip stitch to attach it. I think attaching the keychain piece was the hardest part. It may look like I got it in the first try, but this is actually my third attempt. After attaching the keychain, I used some more polyfill to fill the body. And then I continued to use the whip stitch around the rest of the hat. And if you're noticing a theme, I knotted the ends and passed the needle through before snipping off the excess. Now to attach all of the details, I used some tacky glue. First, I started off with the insignia by putting a dab of glue on top of the hat. Then off camera, I cut out 2 black strips for Hu Tao Ghost's eyes. I then attached the eyes and the rest of the face details with the tacky glue. Now for the details on the body, I cut out 2 butterfly-shaped pieces out of yellow felt. And then I added a thin line of tacky glue across the body of the butterfly. I then folded the butterfly in half and then used a binder clip to hold it in place while it dried. I followed these same steps for a second butterfly. And once dried, the butterflies are permanently stuck into an action pose. For this project, I only made 2 butterflies, but if you decide to make this project on your own, feel free to make as many butterflies as you'd like. And finally, I used some more tacky glue to attach the butterflies to Hu Tao Ghost's body. Like I mentioned before, this video is one of 2 Genshin crafting videos, so if you're interested in seeing more videos like this, be sure to leave a comment down below or boop the like button. And here's the finished piece. If I'm being honest, I'm pretty surprised by how it turned out. It turned out a lot better than I expected, considering that I don't do a whole lot of sewing. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you so much for watching. See you next time.